Wild sexual practices in Malawi Africa. Malawi was previously known as Nyasaland, is a landlocked country in southeastern Africa. The name Malawi comes from the Malawi, a Bantu ethnic group who emigrated from the southern Congo around 1400 AD. It is bordered by Zambia to the west, Tanzania to the north, and northeast, and Mozambique to the east-south, and southwest. Malawi spans over 118,484 km2, or 45747 square miles, and has an estimated population of 21,240. 689 as of 2024. Malawi's capital and largest city is Lilongwe. Its second largest is Blantyre. Its third largest is Mzuzu, and its fourth largest is Zomba, the former capital. The ethnic groups in Malawi include Chua, Yao Noni Tumbuka, and others. The languages spoken are Cheshire, English, and other local languages. The country has rich cultural heritage with many traditional festivals and celebrations. Musi and dance are important aspects of Malawian culture. Here are wild sexual practices in Malawi, African country. 1. Sexual cleansing. Sexual cleansing, also known as sexual purification or widow cleansing, is a traditional practice in some parts of Malawi. The practice involves a widow having sex with a designated man, often a relative or a paid professional, in order to cleanse herself of her deceased husband's spirit. This is because if the widow is not cleansed, it is believed that her new husband will be cursed by the spirit of her late husband. This practice is rooted in traditional beliefs and cultural norms, particularly among certain ethnic groups in Malawi. The practice is often seen as a way to protect a widow from evil spirits. It is believed that the widow's body is inhabited by her deceased husband's spirit, and that sexual cleansing is necessary to rid her of this spirit. Sexual cleansing is also believed to restore the widow's fertility, allowing her to remarry and bear children. The practice is often seen as a way to maintain social order and ensure that the widow is reintegrated into society. 2. Sexual initiation. The practice of sexual initiation involves sexual cleansing as part of girls' initiation ceremonies. In Malawi, the two initiation processes, Msondo and Sindicula, are deeply rooted in traditional cultural practices. Msondo, which is the first initiation process, typically occurs between the ages of 6 and 13. Before the onset of menstruation, this practice involves the insertion of a boiled egg into the girl's vagina by an anamukungwi, that is female initiator, to break her virginity. The second initiation process, Sindicula, takes place after the girl has started her menstrual cycle. This practice is also known as sexual cleansing and involves the girl having sex with a designated man known as hyena or a paid professional. This act is not considered as rape, but it is seen as a form of the cleansing ritual. 3. Dry sex. Dry sex is a sexual practice where women use various substances to dry out their vaginas in order to increase pleasure for their partners. This practice is relatively common in Malawi, particularly in rural areas. Substances used for dry sex includes various herbs such as muthi or chikondia. Used to dry out the vagina, some women use powders such as magical powders or love powders to achieve dry sex. Certain leaves like cachaso or catadmera are used to dry out the vagina. In some cases, women may use chemicals to dry out their vaginas. Dry sex is often seen as a way to preserve cultural and traditional practices. Women may feel pressured to practice dry sex in order to maintain their relationships or to attract new partners for sexual exploitation. Sexual exploitation is a significant concern in Malawi, affecting various segments of the population, particularly vulnerable groups such as women, children, and marginalized communities. Malawi is a source, transit, and destination country for sex trafficking, with victims being exploited within the country or abroad. Children in Malawi are vulnerable to sexual abuse, often by family members, teachers, or other adults. Sexual harassment is common in Malawi, particularly in the workplace, schools, and public spaces. Rape and defilement are serious concerns in Malawi, with many cases going unreported due to stigma, fear, and lack of trust in the justice system. Poverty and economic Vulnerability can lead to sexual exploitation, as individuals may be forced to engage in transactional sex or other forms of exploitation to survive. Certain cultural and traditional practices in Malawi, such as child marriage and initiation rituals, can increase the risk of sexual exploitation. 5. Sex work refers to the exchange of sexual services for money, goods, or other forms of compensation. Sex work can take many forms, including street-based sex work, brothel-based sex work, escort services, online sex work, and transactional sex. Sex work is a complex and often controversial issue with different perspectives on its legitimacy, safety, and impact on society. Some arguments in favor of sex work include autonomy and agency. Sex workers have the right to make their own choices about their bodies and livelihoods. Economic empowerment. Sex work can provide a source of income for individuals who may not have other economic opportunities. Harm reduction. Regulated sex work can reduce the risk of HIV and other STIs, as well as violence and exploitation. However, there are also concerns about the negative impacts of sex work, including exploitation and trafficking. Many sex workers are vulnerable to exploitation, abuse, and trafficking. Health risks. Sex workers are at increased risk of HIV, STIs, and other health problems. Stigma and social exclusion. Sex workers often face stigma, social exclusion, and marginalization. Sex work is illegal in Malawi. It is still a popular trade among young girls because they regard it as an easy way of getting money and other benefits. 6. Contemporary sex. Contemporary sexual practices in Malawi are diverse and influenced by various factors, including cultural norms, education, urbanization, and globalization. Efforts to prevent HIV/AIDS have led to increased condom use, particularly among young people. Malawi has a growing LGBTQ community, with some organizations advocating for LGBTQ rights. Some Malawians are engaging in non-traditional relationships, such as cohabitation and same-sex relationships. Social media and dating apps have become popular in Malawi, changing the way people meet and interact romantically. Some Malawians are placing greater emphasis on sexual pleasure and intimacy in their relationships. It is important to know that these sexual practices may vary across different regions in Malawi. Thanks for watching. Please do like and subscribe for more.